It's Lisa from Been There, Got Out, and today's guest is someone who's been on before, Rebecca Ishida. She's a therapist, among other things, in California. And as soon as I met her, which was over TikTok actually, I immediately felt like we were kindred souls, and here she is. Let me get her on here. So excited to see her again. We were going to try and meet in real life, but then I broke my arm and there was like a little issue. So I'm glad again to see her virtually. Where are you, Rebecca? I see a black screen. So where is she? Where is she? Where is she? Why is this not working? Oh, are you there, Rebecca? Can you hear me?
1 second. You got me?
Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah, you're a little bit pixelated. I'm not sure if it's my thing or yours.
Let me check. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The timer thing is spinning. So let's wait a few seconds for Rebecca to stop spinning. Chris, if you can hear me, is Rebecca's paused or am I paused? I'm not sure what's going on in technology.
Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's probably me. Hi, Tina. Is that?
I can see you, but you're frozen. You're like flashing frozen, and I can't tell if it's me.
Do you want me? Is it better now? Just like let me. It might be my internet.
Yeah, you're pixelated. You're pixelated.
Okay, I'll go out. And
all right. Do you want to drop off this, and I'll just restart it?
Or I'll come back. I'll come back.
You know what? No, let me just, okay. All right. She's going to come back. All right. Anyway, so I'm glad that she remembered how to do it. Today we're going to be talking about how narcissists and other toxic people lead a double life. And Rebecca and I both have a lot in common with our exes. Let me just check and see if she's back. There she is. Okay. Which we found out when we first met over TikTok. Wait, where is she? Uh-oh. All right, Rebecca, let's see if this works. I see you sent a request and I did it. Yes, okay. All right, she should be here any second, I hope. Uh-oh. All right, something's not working again. Oh,
yeah,
it's working.
Is that better?
Yes.
Oh, phew. Okay.
I know. How stressful is like, I'm the guest and it's not working. I hate that. I know. Okay. Love the glasses, by the way.
Thank you. They're my reading glasses. Since I'm older, I can't see like a screen. Like, you know, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah.
All right. So anyway, I was just saying that you and I have been on before, but it's been a few months and I'm so glad to see you again because you and I, from the moment we met, it was like, we've got this thing, like we have similar exes and I think we have similar personalities and life experiences. So yeah, why don't you just go ahead.
An instant connection. So
yes. Yeah. Okay. So Rebecca, for those of you, for those people who haven't seen you here before, can you just introduce yourself and say who you are, what you do?
Yes. So my name is Rebecca Ishida. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I've been licensed for over 20 years. And I work with addictions, trauma, and narcissistic abuse. And I also work with a lot of couples in healthy relationships as well. I just finished my EMDR training, which is very
Ooh, that is good to know.
Very exciting. And I'm also going to start my certification in sex therapy.
Awesome.
To kind of look at sex from like a positive sex positive, because a lot of the work I've done has also been in the world of problematic sexual behavior. So, which makes sense based on narcissistic abuse, et cetera, because those go hand in hand.
Oh, we could have so many conversations about that. I already am like, Chris and I were just saying, like, recently we need to find someone who knows about EMDR because our clients were just asking about that. So I'm going to tap you for that.
Yeah, and it's really exciting. It's a, the idea behind it is that we take traumatic incidents along with negative cognitions, and we pair them and then store them in our brain, and the trauma resides in us. So when we're triggered or activated, our nervous system's activated, those responses are very similar to the original trauma. And it becomes, you know, with narcissistic abuse, you see complex post-traumatic stress disorder, hypervigilance, difficulty trusting others, you know, either hyperarousal or hypoarousal. And EMDR helps to take the file out of your brain, the negative cognitions with the negative experience, traumatic memory, and pair it with more adaptive responses. And so it's a really helpful trauma therapy. So
yeah, I can't wait to, I'm already going to start writing questions for that next topic. That's great.
Oh, I'm excited. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the concept, which actually brought me to you in the first place, which I had never heard before. And of course I lived it for 20 years,
yes.
But can you talk about what is lying by omission? Because that's the whole backdrop to somebody leading a double life.
Oh, absolutely. So, and that's how we got connected, right? So, you know, a lot of people, you know, have difficulty with the concept, especially people who haven't lived narcissistic abuse or been in toxic relationships. But the idea that emotional abuse is also you know, is domestic violence also, right? Like narcissistic abuse is domestic violence. I did a recent video on that as well. And a lot of that can't be held up in court, as we know. Some places are, England, I think, and Wales, I think, have passed laws that are making that now like criminal. But with emotional abuse, that's essentially what lying by omission is, right? So a lot of times, you know, people just withhold the truth. And basically, if they were to tell you the truth, you would make different decisions based on the truth. And when they hold that from you, they're taking away your power. And they're, of course, with a narcissist, the intention is always power and control. So then they hold the power. And so it's sort of this, it's a dynamic that you're not aware of because you're in the dark about the information. So that's, I think, how we originally got connected, right? It's like talking about this very topic. And a lot of people, there's a lot of pushback on that, I think, because a lot of times with narcissistic abuse, we often think that, especially with or abusive relationships, domestic violent relationships, it's like, well, did he hit you? How bad did it really get? And, you know, when you look at the insidious nature of narcissistic abuse, and the way that it gaslights you and tricks you into saying, well, is it that bad? I mean, it's really not that bad. You know, all of that creates this situation where we stay. And we stay way longer than, you know, on reflection, right? And I'm sure you did this. Upon reflection, I'm like, oh my God, I stayed how long? My marriage was really over, you know, probably 3 years in. And I was always trying to fight to make it better, to make it better. We'll go to therapy. We'll do this. We'll do that. I was the fixer. And you know, I think a lot of people can relate to that as partners. So, you know, all that emotional abuse, it just tricks you. It kind of allows you to stay longer too. The covert narcissism, the emotional abuse, if they don't hit you a lot. I mean, I would sometimes say that to myself or say to a close friend, well, he didn't hit me.
Right. And we know that a lot of victims of abuse, first of all, don't even know that they're being abused. And secondly, minimize it.
Exactly.
So one question that came up when I was talking years ago about my experience to a friend who had no background in domestic abuse because my ex was lying by omission for 20 years, they said, is it abuse if you don't know about it?
Oh my God. It's like the whole, like, if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? Oh yeah, it makes a sound. I'm just not there to hear it. I mean, of course it is. It's like, that's a ridiculous question. Sorry. Like, yeah, of course it's abuse. But see, that's the problem too, that we find as survivors, Lisa, right? Is that you and I have probably shared and had these realizations after the fact and have friends push back who are like, and maybe it's not their intention, but they gaslight us too. Right.
I don't think it's their intention because they are our friends and loved ones. Like, why would they want to do it? They don't realize how damaging it is, and it hurts all the more because they are the people who are close to us.
Exactly.
And you're like, how could you not see it from my perspective?
And that's why I want to hand every single person out there like a copy of Psychopath Free. Now, you know what I mean? Like everyone needs to be like, I was thinking about how I want to go to my daughter's high school and do like a little like talk about toxic relationships. Like those are the things that are honestly, I think are more important than algebra. I mean, we need to be armed and ready to sort of like, because we go into this world, you know I was filled with rom-coms, you know, in my head. And my life is going to be beautiful and it's going to be rainbows and sunshine and, you know, unicorns and everything's going to be great. I'll get married and it'll be fantastic. But the truth is we have to also be prepared to know how to read these things, you know, sadly, but that is the reality.
Well, Psychopath Free is an excellent book and both my kids read it and were like, wow. And I think it helped them to process what was happening with their father. But what you just said about rom-coms, last night in my dance class, I was talking to a woman who is a domestic violence advocate. And we were talking about some silly little show that we were watching. And I said, oh, yeah, the show is interesting. But the relationship between the main character and her husband is just so ridiculously saccharine. And she goes, I actually thought that that's what my relationship was supposed to be like. And I'm thinking, wow, like here's somebody who's been schooled in coercive control. But yet, because we are so inundated as a culture with these rom-coms and these fake relationship goals, it's like you feel like if your relationship isn't that great or isn't that perfect, that somehow it's subpar. Yeah. So I think what you're saying about healthy relationship education is so important, to have realistic expectations about not only healthy relationships but unhealthy relationships, like the jealousy, the texting all the time.
Yeah,
that's not someone that cares for you. That's not a positive. That's a bad thing. That's a red flag, right?
I love that you're saying that. Absolutely. Some people down here are saying, hi, Ben. Ben just joined, and he's a self-aware narcissist, and he's fantastic. I adore him. His content is amazing. He's Raw Motivations on Instagram, and he's on TikTok. I think it's Ben, is it Raw Motivations too? Anyway, he's fantastic. He's great. You got to check his stuff out. There's also Lee, who is on Mental Healness, if you're aware of him too. Both great. People have a lot of issues because they are narcissists. The bottom line is they're actually working on their stuff. And they're amazing. Their content is fantastic. Anyway, I just want to say that. Some people are saying I should go in the high school and teach these things. I would love that opportunity. It's so important. And I love that you did that with your kids, Lisa. That's incredible. I talk to my kids about these things too, because I think that rom-com thing, you know, sometimes I've gone back. First of all, When Harry Met Sally is like my favorite rom-com. Pretty unrealistic, but whatever. The one that I went back and saw was Purple Rain. And I remember at the time thinking, I love this movie. This was such a great movie.
Purple Rain with Prince?
Yes.
Oh my God, I don't even remember that, but yeah.
I should go back and watch it because I didn't realize. I watched it. I was like, wait, I liked this movie, and I had forgotten there was this scene where he literally hits his girlfriend, and then it's sort of like, oh, like he hits her because she's jealous or mad, you know, and then like hugs her after and comforts her. And I was like, oh my God, like there's like all these examples of like in the 80s of all this narcissistic abuse that, you know, we just didn't even recognize as, and like, oh, well, he's hugging her after. I mean, like, no, I don't even know what I thought the moment I saw it, but all these toxic relationships that you see, you know, and maybe before we idealized. And
romanticize. We romanticize it.
100%.
And that trains everyone. This is how it's supposed to be because it's familiar. I mean, and Rebecca, I'm thinking of another topic for a future Instagram Live about like cultural influences, Disney movies, like how we are groomed to think that this is how it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
And completely unrealistic and really unhealthy.
On the flip side, there are some other movies that I really do like. I remember, liking because I just thought, wow, this is juicy. But like other movies, you see a good portrayal of toxic relationships or leading double lives, which I know we're going to talk about today. Like the movie Deceived. Did you ever see that movie? No, but I'm writing stuff down. Goldie Hawn and John Hurd. And I remember watching this and go, holy shit, this is intense. You know, like I was like, oh my God. So that's a great movie about double lives. It gives you a really good example of it. Definitely going to watch it. All right. Yeah. And that's our theme. And I'm like, Chris, please keep an eye on the time because I want to keep it to an hour so I can get it and clip it for TikTok. No, but we'll be back. No. Okay. We'll have to do another one. So.
Well, you know we will. You know we will. And we have our TikTok coming up.
Oh, that's
like,
great.
so we'll just keep
October 4th, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Okay. So another thing before we get into the double live things is this question came up the other day and I thought I have to ask Rebecca. And here it is. Is it normal for toxic people to need space in a relationship, or is it typical? I should say, not normal. Is it typical? And what do they do during that time? Because you've dealt with these personalities well in your practice, I think.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Someone's asking about the movie. It's called Deceived. Goldie Hawn and John Hurd. Yeah. So the thing is that, look, it's so funny because I'm a therapist over 20 years. And when people talk about space, I don't get it. And the reason I don't get it is because I'm anxiously attached. Now you have to be necessarily toxic to want space. No, I mean, I think some space is, a good thing. It can be a good thing. People sometimes need to decompress and they might be like avoidantly attached. They might be somebody who gets hypo-aroused, so they kind of shut down. So all those things, it's not necessarily indicative of toxic relationship, but if you look at it with other pieces, then yes, right? So someone who needs space, I had an ex who was like, his big thing was silent treatment. So that's his way of taking space, but he would do it and it was very punishing. It was very soul crushing. It was a pattern of behavior that if I ever said anything that was like not okay with him, out of line, what have you, I would be punished for it. And he would withhold affection, attention, talking to me. And, because of that, that was toxic. That was a piece of his narcissism. At the time, I didn't really recognize it as such, but space, it's a spectrum thing, right? And if it goes along with other patterns of behavior.
All right, tell us more. So tell me about some of those other patterns that you should watch for when the space goes along with where it's like, this is not right. This doesn't feel healthy.
Well, you want to also think about like, why are they taking space? Like the reason he would take space is literally we could have a conversation that was like a nothing. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, it was like, will you come to this party with me or something? And I'll just hypothetically, like, what did he, something about like, oh, there'll be a lot of dancing. Well, I don't really like dancing. Oh, well, can you just come? Like, I don't know. I just don't know if I want to. And, and it could like spiral out of nothing. So sure, if people are taking space, are they taking a space for, actually a reasonable reason? Like, is there a reason is it reasonable? You know what I mean? If it's like, I'm really overwhelmed by this conversation, can we just take a time out? We'll revisit it in 30 minutes. That's different. And they actually follow through in that 30 minutes.
No, I'm talking about like, I need a couple weeks away from the relationship.
Oh yeah. No. No. And look, that's part of the double life thing we can probably get into, because when you do things like that, then what you're doing is not only just creating space, like you're like letting your partner know, oh, and then, a partner might be like, oh, we just need some time to like sort things through. That time could also be a manipulation. I'm taking this time away from you because I'm busy over here with the other things that I'm doing behind your back. Right. Yes. So, that can also be a piece of the double life.
Okay. So let's talk about the double life.
Okay.
How do they do? Because I, of course, have examples from my own life and I want to hear you have some of yours. And right. So tell us, do they often live a double life?
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little too, just a double life definition. I mean, when I think of double life, of course, I think of something like a second spouse, a second relationship, a whole other family. People do that. But I think we can also see it maybe because that's obviously like high on the spectrum, but on the lower level, extramarital affairs, that's a double life. We want to look at these other pieces. I wrote them down, like addictions, or if someone's gambling and they're like losing a house, or like your partner doesn't know. There's a double life piece to that too.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah. So because that's important for us, because I think that people here, maybe they don't have the experience of a whole other life, of a whole other family. I want to also have people understand that double life can also refer to, like the things you and I went through, my ex was, I don't know that he was doing cocaine at the time, but it was like his addiction, which was much worse than I expected. There's a perspective to that. Maybe it's not quite the same as a second family. Do you know what I mean? But I want to address that. So, or secret job. You know, some people have secret jobs. I've worked with people who, you know, maybe they're not making enough money. So they're, you know, whether they're like, you know, selling drugs, or they're, you know, maybe they're a sex worker and they're doing these things behind a partner's back. That's double life-ish as well.
Do people do a second job, like a secret job, because they need the money, or are there, like, what other reasons?
Well, I've worked with people who do it because, and look, those people may not necessarily be narcissists either, right?
Right, right.
People do it because of money. Some people might do it because, for example, they may have grown up. I'm sorry, my dog's driving me a little nuts.
No, it's so funny. I love when animals photobomb.
I'm a little hungry, so I'm just going to grab her some, like, something. They might do it because, like, maybe you grew up in a home where you were always so used to getting everything so easily. So say you fall into something like sex work and the money comes really easily. There may just be this sense of, like, I don't really want to work hard. I like the ease of this money and how easy it comes to me because I'm used to that. So I'll just continue doing that and just hide it from somebody. You know, there's that piece. The other piece too is I think sometimes people have secret lives, secret jobs, because it's also, there's something they're getting from it, whether it's also validation. They might be, you know, they're getting something from it that's giving them a hit. It's giving them, you know, so
interesting.
it's not always about money.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I'm thinking of is shoplifting. A lot of times people don't steal for the thing itself, right?
Right. You can see also how a lot of celebrities, I'm so sorry, I'm giving her food. A lot of celebrities will do things like that too. They don't need the money. It's the thrill, right? You get dopamine, you get, you know, dopamine dump. It's very exciting. Adrenaline, all of those things that you get. And that's it's also can be shoplifting can be an addiction, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So any other, like, little indicators of double lives? I'm thinking, like, when can I share my example?
Oh, yeah. I want to hear it. But
All right. All right. So go ahead.
Major ones I think is people who travel a lot, who are often not at home.
Okay.
You have to really look at that. I've seen this a lot with narcissistically abusive relationships. So say, for example, you meet somebody you meet someone on Bumble, right? I'm in the dating world. It's not fun. I'll tell everybody that we can do a whole episode about dating after narcissistic abuse one day, because it is hell. I'm a dating expert, not by choice. Okay. Anyway, so the point is, so people travel for work a lot, say, for example. And I've known people who say they meet somebody, like they've like broken Bumble and they date someone in a different city or something like that. And so they only get to see that person. I'll give you an example. See that person on a weekend, maybe every other weekend. So say, for example, they meet in their city and they're like, they say, oh, I have kids, or we can't go to my place, or they meet in a hotel. Think about it. If you meet somewhere, you meet in a hotel, or you don't meet often, you can hide a lot from someone. I know people who have discovered later on, oh, they lead a double life because they never went to their apartment. They never went where they live. They always had a reason that we had to meet in a hotel or something like that. Or let's just meet at your place. Let's meet in your city. You know, so there's a lot you can get away with when you set that up. But because we're trusting individuals, or someone shows us, you know, love and affection, and we want to believe people. So people can, and it's sad that we have to even think of these things, but that's how people can hide. Traveling a lot. So there are gaps in time, that space thing you mentioned, you know, where if I'm traveling and I have a double life, I can still be texting that person. I can sit on the toilet and text my spouse, hey babe, I'm so busy at this conference, or whatever. I can do that easily. I mean, we can achieve these things so much more easily now than because of the phones, accessibility. It's where we also find our prey, is online oftentimes. So that to me is the biggest one. That's my number more. I'm going to go.
Yeah. So, okay. So that I'm going to transition into my experience. So with that, and like my ex, we were together for 20 years, married for 18. And towards the end of the marriage, I discovered this flourishing double life that he had the whole time. And I couldn't fathom how he did it because he didn't travel for work.
Wow.
So one of the things he did were online affairs. He had this rich fantasy thing going constantly. Yeah. Tons of backup supply, tons of emotional affairs, and who knows what else. He did leave evidence behind, and it was like overwhelming evidence that I got from him himself and things that I found later. But one of the ways that he did it was, he would meet people, he would take time off from work. He would take vacation time. Of course, I didn't know about this, and go to hotels during the day and then come home to me, and I knew nothing about it.
Right. So that's horrific. And what you're also describing is that problematic sexual behavior that I've worked with, right? So because sex is supply, right. The affairs, fantasy, validation, adulation, all of that dumminess, that is supply. And,
yeah.
And they get supply from us too when we find out and we confront them. That's negative supply, but it's supply.
Yeah, I wish I had known that years ago. I wouldn't have spent 6 hours a day trying to make sense and just.
Look, I stayed in my marriage, Lisa, probably over a decade too long. Okay, and I'm a therapist, so
yeah,
it can happen to any one of us.
Yeah. I mean, part of the thing that also I look back now was a red flag. Everything is, 2020 in hindsight, sure. Was from the very beginning of the relationship. So my ex worked in IT. So he was always on the computer. And this is when like AOL chat rooms existed. And I was a teacher, right? And so I knew nothing about computers. I wanted nothing to do with technology. I was just in my classroom with my kids and doing my thing. But he was like, he made himself, he's very intellectual and cerebral. And he was like, I've got these issues and nobody really understands. So I go to these chat rooms because people really understand me and you would never understand. So that's kind of like my therapy. And I just accepted it because I thought, okay, I didn't know what was going on and I was really, really young. And so I never questioned it until 18 years later. It was like, what have you actually been doing?
Because the biggest thing too is that we trust and we do not understand ultimately how someone could ever be this way. And that we engage so much in wanting to change them. I know I did this, at least I'll own it for myself.
And blaming yourself? Blaming yourself.
Everything was always my fault anyway, okay?
Yeah.
Everything was my fault, but I was always engaged in othering. I'm going to change you. I'm going to make you better. And then when you're better, then we'll be better. Right. So
yes.
Let me tell you, that's my own arrogance, though, to think that I had that power to change my ex-husband. We do not have the power. The 3 C's of addiction. We did not cause it. We cannot control it and we cannot cure it. That's for them to do. And guess what? They don't want to. And the sooner we can come to that conclusion, the better off we will be. They do not want to change. And we are always like, because we're on IG, we're on TikTok, we're like, oh, like maybe I can get him a therapist. Maybe. Are they on these things trying to get help? No, they're not. Right. Don't want to change. This works for them.
Totally. Except when they're discovered and somebody says, I'm going to leave the relationship. And then it's like, no, because they want to keep it the way that it's been with their hidden life.
A recent ex, he went back to his time. I've missed telling you a lot of things. My God, I swear, comedy material, because I do stand-up comedy also. I have comedy material for my dating life. And I have great information for narcissistic abuse because that's how I give. So, because my ex back to his toxic ex. He made the choice. She did a narcissistic Hoover. And I, once again, let's fix the broken wings and fix the projects. And, was helping him to see the light, but he wasn't the light. He wasn't ready. He went back. She did a really easy Hoover, and he went right back to her. And, it's amazing the manipulation. And you know what? As partners, we sadly have to also sometimes hit rock bottom too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though even if there's is like, I'm an expert in this person I was dating. I'm telling you, and you're not ready to receive the truth. And until you are, and until you see that they get worse once we take them back, worse, not better, because now they know they have your number. They know my supply is leaving me. Oh crap, I don't have anyone new to grab onto. I kind of get a lot here. I got a house and I got the kids, and I'm going to manipulate him and tell him, we've got an intact family. You want to break up the family? You want to break up? You know,
that's what kept me in my relationship.
That's what she did. And he went right back. You know, so this is the thing too, is like sometimes the people that need to really learn, we need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
We're the ones that can change. They won't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
all right, Rebecca, also talk about one thing that you had brought up the last time with how they do it. I mean, somebody wrote an excellent comment like, we are not them. So it's hard for us to imagine, like you said, that somebody would behave like this. But I know one thing that my ex told me himself, because, you know, even though people like this are pathological liars, they do drop these truth bombs. And he said, because I was like, how is it possible for you to behave like this and with me and the kids? And he just said, I compartmentalize.
Correct. So that is part
Talk
of it.
About that.
Exactly what it is. And that is, well, yeah, he did tell you the truth, didn't he, right there? You know, and they do once in a while, they'll slip.
Yeah, I know.
But, you know, look, the bottom line is they don't have empathy. This is how they, number one, they don't have empathy. And that is essentially how you do it. Think about it this way. We have empathy. We care, right? We couldn't dream of doing this to someone. Think about, it's hard to think about it when you have empathy, but think about not caring. Like, if you don't care, if you don't give a shit about the person you're with, ultimately, you can really kind of do anything. I mean, that's what creates, you know, sociopathy, psychopathy. It's on the spectrum of narcissism. A lot of the people who lead double lives are actually sociopaths or psychopaths. They're high, like, because they lack empathy. It's not that they have none. They lack it. People that have no empathy, they're more the psychopaths, right? So like a Ted Bundy can go around killing people and then come back home, double life, and can just slip in, compartmentalize into another life because he doesn't care. He doesn't care that he killed all these people. You know, You can easily move in and out because this face, if I do anything bad, you'll see it, right?
Oh, same.
That's how we are wired. They are wired differently. And we oftentimes don't want to accept that. Allison here says the world seems to be full of narcs. Yes, unfortunately, it's true. And sometimes it's not just that they're diagnosable, but they might have strong narcissistic traits. And we see that a lot. I think more and more we're recognizing it's like empaths are the unicorns. Yeah, to a degree, that's true. But we're the ones that can change. They can't. I have more.
Oh, before I forget, Rebecca, one thing you said about the compartmentalization, like I know with my ex, when I found out what had been going on, I said, how did you, like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, how did you think I would feel when I found out all this stuff you've been doing? And he honestly, he was very calm. He just said, I just never thought that you'd find out. There was nothing there in terms of my feelings, the effects on our children, nothing. And it was just astonishing to see.
And that's something I heard a lot, by the way. And when I worked in sex addiction, it's really now really called more like problematic sexual behavior. But I will say that that's the thing I often heard from clients is
really,
I didn't think they'd find out. So in their mind, it was the whole tree thing. It's like, if they don't know, it doesn't hurt them.
Exactly. And that goes back to that line about abuse. Like if you don't know it, then it's not really abuse, right?
Correct. Do you want me to go into other things that are, like one of the things that you mentioned, and I think as an IT person is an important one, is are they protective of their devices? You know, so a lot of
rhetorical question, Rebecca. Come on. As an IT, how about as in anybody?
As in anybody, right?
Right.
Because behind the secret life stuff is secrecy, deception, secrets and lies, right? Which is also behind any addiction. So, you know, that's why we see a lot of overlap between NPD or strong narcissistic traits and problematic sexual behavior or alcoholism or addiction, right? Because addiction is also about secrets and lies. So the protectiveness of the devices, the computer, the iPad, a lot of times people get caught on the iPad, by the way, because they might be using the phone. It's connected to the iPad. So someone's like, oh shit. Oh, wait, who's this? You know, like a lot of times how things are discovered, I've noticed. I don't want to be giving narcissists any clues here, but anyway, I'm not sure that, but like the protectiveness of a device, deleting of phone history, deleting of messages, deleting of emails, deleting of computer history. These are all red flags, you know. And honestly, what's sad about it is it makes us detectives. And, you know, then they will often say, you know, don't invade Allison said she found out on an iPad. That's very common. You know, don't invade my privacy. That's my phone. How dare you? So they'll flip it on you.
Always, you're the one in the wrong. You had no right to do it. Forget the fact that they're cheating and lying and everything else. It's that you shouldn't have been snooping.
Correct. They will flip it on you, right? That's what you often see with them, for sure. The other thing, let me see what were the other ones. That notice too that they don't want to have conversations with you about important issues. They don't want to talk about finances. You may not know about their finances. You might not know about all the accounts they have. Sometimes I hear people say, well, I don't really know. We don't share an account. I don't really know what their financial situation is. They may stonewall you when these conversations come up. They don't want to talk about their past. You know, and their stories don't add up.
Oh, how much of a topic in itself is that?
Exactly, their story. And sometimes, you know, we forget our lies. You know, if you're lying all the time, you forget the truth. If you're in your truth, you never forget because you're in your truth. So, you know what I'm saying? But they lie. So like, it could be like, I'm going to go to the store for some milk or something. And it's like, they're like, you know, but they don't come back with the milk. Nothing, things don't add up. It doesn't.
Everything takes 2 hours.
Yes.
I'm thinking back with my ex, like, oh, I'm going to go get an oil change. 2.5 hours later, like, where were you? The supermarket again. Like, why is that 2 hours all the time? I'm thinking
all that stuff.
Also, when you said, lying about their past. One thing, I'm wondering if this is a common thing. I know a lot of our clients sort of make excuses for toxic exes in the beginning where they'll be like, well, you know, they were abused in the past, so they had a really hard childhood, so I kind of feel bad for them. And my ex used to say that he was abused, but it was very vague. And I'd always be like, well, like what exactly happened? And 20 years, I still have no idea what exactly the abuse was, but he'd always beeline for people at a party because he wanted to connect with them in terms of their abusive past, but not get into any actual details, but just like commiserate together.
Right. Well, that's interesting. That could be like, you know, a form of wanting to get validation or adulation, a lot, or even to do that sort of mirroring. What we see with covert narcissism is a lot of like, I'm the victim. And so sometimes we miss it. I dated, do you know how many narcissists I've dated or been with? Oh my God. Oh Lord. Anyway, so
I think we should have a jar and guess how many marbles.
I love you. That's fantastic. And like Tammy's saying, how are they all the same? They're actually not the same. They have like certain threads that are absolutely the same, but they can manifest it in different ways. I had one, I was like, oh, he's not at all, because I had one that was kind of more hostile. And then I had one that wasn't hostile at all. And there was a sweetness to it and an innocence and a kindness, but he screwed me over. You know what I mean? So the moment is like, you know, they're all, and that actually makes it really scary for people to actually go date again. For some reason, I'm just like, I keep doing it because I love and connection. So I keep trying, with different boundaries and hope. And I'm less hopeful than I was in the past. Let me put it that way. But, you know, it's because it's really hard out there, but yeah, their stories don't add up. The other thing too, about the hurt people, that concept, I can't stand it. It's not true. I was hurt too. Guess what? I don't abuse people. So that it is not true. It is not okay. And honestly, we know, you and I both know so well that if you love them harder, it doesn't make them better. It doesn't work.
It makes us worse.
It makes us worse. You can't screw someone into health. You can't love them harder and make them better. You can't be more committed. It does not work. They just eat it up. Positive positive supply, 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 because they don't think the way that we do. They don't love the way that we do. It will never make them better. And we just, look, if I were hearing me, you know, before when I was separating, I'd be like, oh, this woman doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. Cause like, I was sick of it. But like, I wish I could tell everyone this because I want to save them so much heartache. You know, I stayed so long. I have 2 great kids, don't get me wrong, but like that relationship was so awful for my soul, you know? And I know for you too, Lisa, it's so painful.
Yeah. But also throughout the whole thing, it was like this sense of entitlement.
Yes.
And I'm thinking specifically during the divorce process, when the lawyers were involved, and it was still at the very beginning because, you know, our divorce took a year, but he was saying something like, I think my ex said something to my lawyer, like, well, you know, I don't know what she's upset about. I don't even know why she wants this divorce because we had an agreement. And I'm like, what? And I said, we didn't have any agreement. He said, well, she should have known because my father cheated on my mother all the time. So she should have known that that's who I am. So when she married me, she kind of knew it already. And I was like,
what the?
That is not, and my lawyer said that he was just like, I've never heard anything like this.
Yeah. What's
an agreement? I said, agreement is 2 people who knowingly say, this is what I'm agreeing to. I didn't think so. I thought he had broken the cycle.
And that's a perfect example of lying by omission. There you go. That is you were led along a life and in a life that you did not know what the reality was. And how fucked up is that? I'm sorry. Right. So not okay. And that to me, like when I hear what you just said, it enrages me. It enrages me. Like,
good.
You did not tell me any of this. Are you kidding me?
Like, why would I have signed up for that?
Right. And look, the thing is this, was he abused? Did he have trauma? I don't know. And I also don't care. That's the bottom.
Right.
Healing is your responsibility. Trauma is not your fault. Healing is your responsibility for everyone, I don't get to vomit all over you and injure you because I was injured. That literally makes no sense. Okay. And everyone has some trauma. That's the truth. And I'm not going to feel bad. Like, so let me understand this. You're abusing me and it's okay because you had a hard childhood. F you. That's literally what I think. Okay.
Yeah. And coming out of that relationship too. And again, that was 2 decades of my life. So that was almost half my lifetime. I feel like the thing that bothers me more than anything is when someone is deceiving me. When it could be about even a little tiny thing, when I feel like they don't tell me for whatever reason it is, and then I find out later, I have like a more extreme reaction because I'm just like, how could you not tell me the truth? Like, I want to have the ability to make a choice to decide if that's what I want to do, if I still want to be with you or not. And if I'm not given, if I'm kept in the dark, like I have a really, really hard time with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And because that's what a healthy relationship is supposed to be. Honesty, transparency, reciprocity, respect. That is the stuff that is love. And that's the thing too. There isn't love here. And that's a painful truth, is to realize they love you in moments. And I think even in the love bombing, they actually I think they do believe, oh my God, this is my person. But then they realize you're a real person with like, real, oh my God, you know, but in moments, I think they do think that there's love, but their love is not healthy love. It's toxic love. They own that you belong to them. They don't have to tell you the truth. You're there to feed them. You know, to feed them, I don't mean just with food. I mean, feed their soul, like, you know, fill them up like gas to a gas tank, right? That's the supply. That's your job.
Right. I mean, what you're saying, like my ex, I remember trying to do an exercise with him because he kept saying, if I'm unhappy, it's your fault because you're my partner. So therefore you're not making me happy. And I'd be like, well, let's come up with other things that make you happy besides me, because clearly I would never make him happy. And he couldn't come up with anything.
No. And also, isn't that convenient? Then he gets to blame you for his unhappiness, which, by the way, is pretty deep, because these narcissists, they are not happy people. And I want to say this to everyone, because this is one of the biggest things. The one thing about, first of all, we can't change them. That's a number one. And really, honestly, if we can safely leave, we should. I will say that. I will say that. You really should. The other piece, oh my God, I'm literally just blanked what it was. Oh, they're not happier with the new supply. They are not.
No.
That what you're seeing on social media strewn everywhere is a person who does not know their bullshit yet. And they were love bombing you in the beginning too. And it's a cycle and it will happen to them too. So don't be jealous of the new supply. I wanted to say that.
Okay. All right. So Rebecca, I'm just looking at the time. I want to make sure we stay under so I could get these clips. And you know, you're going to be back like several times to continue, but is there anything else you want to say about the double life? And then, okay, go ahead.
One of the other things I want to say is how they avoid simple questions. They oftentimes will avoid just very basic questions.
Give me an example.
Where did you go, or where were you? And like that kind of goes in hand with how the stories don't add up. They'll avoid simple questions. They don't share deeply about themselves or their history, like you said with your ex. The other thing too is maybe he had childhood trauma, but the other thing that we see in terms of a creation of a narcissist is also hyper idealization of the child, right? So that's a big one we see. It's not always trauma, you know.
So that's when someone is the golden child.
The golden child, and they do no wrong. That's, you know, they are never to blame. They were always right. You know, there's always an explanation for why they also hurt someone. So parents are maybe not teaching accountability.
You know, I'm thinking about certain people I've known who have, often it's just one child, and they sort of, they make that kid almost like a little adult. Like that little kid runs the household, whatever you want, you don't do any wrong. Like, oh, you know, that kid is so smart. Like she just gets away with everything.
That's going to be a narcissist. I'm almost 100% sure. Like,
all right, there's someone in my family I see that happening too, unfortunately. Yeah, you could see it from the very beginning. It's like, why is the baby running the show? Like the two parents are deferring to this little kid that's just like becoming more and more tyrannical.
Right, and then think about it. Then they're going to grow up to be an adult who, why would they take responsibility? I never had to. I never for my actions. It's always someone else's fault. That is literally a creation of a narcissist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see it coming. Ooh.
I love that clip from Chris too. And hi, Chris. I didn't even say him. So and I would love to do this again. So
of course we're going to do it again. So do you have the date? I don't have my calendar in front of me. Our TikTok. So now you're going to have to teach me how to, because I forgot how to get on TikTok live where I'm not a little tiny square on the bottom, but I think we both go on.
Oh, I think. But fourth, by the way, do you mind? It's Yom Kippur. I don't know if that's.
I don't mind. I don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though, yeah. Okay. So, because my mom's Jewish, but I'm not. I'm fine. I can.
Yeah, that's fine. But the other thing. So before we sign off, Rebecca, how can people find you?
You can find me on IG. You can message me. You also can find me at Rebecca Ishida. First last name.com. That's my website. And there's also there's a link in my bio that will take you to my website and a contact page. And my email is my first and last name @gmail.com.
Okay. And Rebecca, so you're in California.
Correct.
And are you able to do therapy with people in different states?
Well, it wouldn't be considered therapy. It's coaching. And I can't.
Got it. I got it.
Coaching, because if we're looking at like, you know, mental disorders or things like that, then that would you need to do a referral for that. But in terms of coaching, abuse coaching, I do that. Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, always a pleasure to see you. We're going to be back together. What, in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
The date?
4th. I can't remember what time it was. I think we said 3.
We'll figure. Well, you're giving me California time and I'm New York time, so maybe 3 p.m. Pacific time and 6 p.m. my time.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll remind everybody and we'll put it out there again.
And also, let's
Oh, your volume went off. You probably
sorry. 1 second. Someone's. Also, if we can, like, we'll schedule another IG. I'd love to do that too.
I think we're going to have perpetual series on different topics because as we have these, we always come up with more ideas.
I would love that, Lisa. Let's really make that happen because I love talking to you. We have such a good connection and ease between us. So I love that.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. And remind me if and not for this one, if you have any experience with people whose exes join a cult and how the kids deal with it?
I've known some people, and also you'll see that a lot with religious and spiritual trauma. So yeah, I have some experience with that. So we could all talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca, and I'll see you really soon.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Bye.